Welcome to episode 5 of Gracefully Broken. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a series where faith meets the heart of our journey through college and beyond. If you haven't started your time of reflection in this Lenten season, it's never too late. It's not too late. There's always time. I'm Candi, and I'm joined by two amazing individuals, Reverend Kevin Kosh and Reverend Herbert Brisbon. And together we embark on this profound exploration of faith, resilience, and mental well-being. In these sacred weeks leading up to Easter, in these episodes, we're diving deep into the essence of Lent, not just as a period of reflection and sacrifice, but as a beacon of hope and transformation for our mental and spiritual well-being. It's a time when the historical and spiritual legacy of our community can shine a light on a path through the challenges and pressures of college life. So thank you for joining us. We've had 5 episodes. If you've missed the first 4, please go back and check us out on YouTube. We talked about finding peace amidst pressure, unshakable confidence in uncertain times, the power of vulnerability, the power of prayer. In episode 5 today, we're talking about building a community of support where we can craft networks and nurturing the relationships that uplift us. Understanding that together we rise higher and stronger. Rev, what you got for us today?
Hey, good family. How y'all doing? It's good to see you all again. This has been a wonderful journey, and I thank God that we are demonstrating what it means to build community. And so as we step into the final segment of our Lenten series of Gracefully Broken, we explore something that's close to my heart, building community of support. And you all have really demonstrated that in so many wonderful ways. And I'm just excited that we are able to help our students to kind of navigate this, because one of the things many of them are really wrestling with: what does it mean to have true community? What does it mean to have that true tribal engagement, those people that are pulling us in? And so hopefully with this particular topic, we can really dive into it, because many of us have been wounded by the people that we thought were close to us. But then even in that, God uses that in order to help us connect with people that we recognize that may have gone through the things that we've gone through, that is not in vain. So I'm just excited to have my brother Kevin, to Rev Kev, to journey with us. And as we embark upon this segment, what does it look like? And so, Kev, I just welcome you to this time with us as well.
All right, always good to be here. And we're talking about building community. We always want to start by getting rooted in the word. So what does the Bible have to say about building community? And then how can we build community during this Lenten season? The Bible offers profound wisdom on the value and importance of community. So for example, we can look at Hebrews 10:24-25, which urges us to let us consider how we spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. This passage highlights the significance of gathering together to inspire and support each other in our faith and our actions. And then I also want to take it from Hebrews to Acts chapter 2:44-47, which says, well, when we see the early Christians living out the principles, sharing everything they had, breaking bread together with glad and sincere hearts and praising God, their example sets a powerful precedent for how communities can thrive on mutual support, shared resources, and collective spiritual growth. So it tells us what our communities should do and what our communities should strive to look like when we just look at Hebrews and Acts and focus on building community. So when we talk about building the community, what's the importance of networks and supports on our college campuses? How can we begin to launch this process of building community? How can we do that for ourselves?
You know, one of the things that HBCUs are known for is that first year seminar, that first year experience. it starts there with that person that you met. The first person that you met, be it your roommate or be it that person in line going through registration. It's about you now being intentional about connecting, because you don't know how important those immediate connections will take you into the future. You don't know what that next person is going to be. One of my good friends, we're still good friends to this day. He's a CEO over at American Express. But again, if I had not taken the time to build that relationship with them on the front end, I would have wasted a friendship. And not to say that I enjoy learning about American Express, but just knowing that I got a friend that's working, a Black, you know what I'm saying, face working in those places that can help me navigate waters that I would have never done before. And one of the things that in this Lenten season, and I because I also teach as well, in my classrooms, I never forget my first year here at Dillard, and I was teaching one of my classes, and I put them in small groups, and they didn't take time to learn the person's name or number. One of the young ladies was missing for about a week or so, and they were working in small groups. Yo, this was a freshman class. It's a freshman level class, but they didn't know that the young lady had lost a parent. How do you sit in the classroom with someone and not get to connect with them? What's causing us not to connect? We are African village. It takes everybody. We don't disconnect from ourselves. We connect because we are community. But that's something that I'm noticing. How do we make sure we connect in some form of fashion? Even your enemies know how to link up, so what does that mean for you moving forward as persons that are portraying love in a whole nother manner? What does that mean? Not wasting that time.
Yeah, so one of the things that kind of like jumps out at me is if we're building community and like talking about family, because we talk about HBCUs being like that, like the different levels. Like, so you might have family which you're born into, and all of these things can have their level of drama or dysfunction, right? And so you might have your family which you're born into, so you feel like there's a level of I need to support these people or be with these people. But then you like look at your community, and that's a broader type of sense. It's not just made up of your family. So when you think about your HBCU community or your college community, that's a whole lot of people. But then you get to talking about finding your tribe, and those are the people that see you for you. They can meet you what Howard Thurman says is the ashtray level. Like, so this is who I am. This is my raw state. You get to see me on my worst day, my best day. You get to see that. And so when you are walking through this Lenten season or just navigating college life, realize that you have your family and it's okay to love them. You have your community, and that's something that you're a part of. And you might not agree with everyone in your community, but they are still a part of your community. And then you have that tribe, that intimate piece of friendship or those bonds that really help you grow and flourish. So I would argue that when we look at the life of Jesus, Jesus did work and he did it for the Jews, and then he spread out to the Gentiles, but then he still had his tribe of disciples. And so as we are navigating life, how are we also putting ourselves in position to not only help heal or our families, but to support our communities and then to thrive and have that personal growth from our tribe?
That's good.
That is good. I mean, it's crucial that they develop these connections. And the crazy thing is, we got to take advantage of them, because you'll be amazed at what you can get from your professors. You'll be amazed at what you get from the custodian. You can be amazed at what you can get from the cook, because again, that's part of the community. Don't ever negate somebody's humble beginnings, because you don't know what they bring to the table, but respect them and get to know them. Look beyond the book cover and begin to read some of the chapters in their lives, because you will find the places of intersection. You will find the commonalities. You will find that there is actually more to them than meets the eye, and you actually have more in common with them than you realize. Get beyond yourself, push beyond yourself in the season, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on some wonderful people being a part of your journey and experiencing it together versus out there by yourself.
So one of the things, like, because we've been debunking a lot of things, right? So when we talk about building community, there's a lot of strength in that. But what happens when we lose those friendships or those
Mhm.
connections that we thought would last a lifetime?
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we were doing the work of building community, but I fell out with some of my friends, and now I might not be talking to them again, or I find that I outgrew some of the circles that mean so much to me. How does that play a role in this building communities when sometimes you feel like I have outgrown this space?
Yeah. I think um people come into your life for a season, a reason, and some for a lifetime. And you have to
Mm,
read the room. You have to understand when a season is up with a particular person or a particular group of people, or if there's something that you need to work through. It's like a marriage, you know. Um, Sometimes there are times when things need to end, but there are other times when you need to work through that. And so
Mhm.
you don't, your community oftentimes becomes your family. And you don't
Mhm.
walk away from family when they're hard times. But there are instances where you're being mistreated or being things are not healthy for you, then you have to be able to step away, you know?
yeah.
And I think about that candy like a snake. And I hate using this illustration, but I'm gonna use it because it's the best one. A snake, when it grows, it just sheds its skin. Again, there's certain individuals that you may have to shed along the way in the season, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still the snake. Doesn't matter how large it gets, it's still the snake. It's just that there's certain layers that are being removed, and it's about that growth.
Yeah.
Because you outgrow something, there is a repositioning. There's some things that you gotta leave alone. You have to emote. You have to let it go and be clear about. I'm just shedding the skin in this season. What skin you need to let go? What do you need to retain? Because again, we all are growing, preferably either growing for the good or growing for the bad. At the end of the day, it's still growth. We have to choose in connecting.
Yeah, so like as we are going through this Lenten series, and then we're also dealing with mental and emotional wellness, one of the things I think about is when we go back to being vulnerable, and then
Mm-hmm.
we are starting to hone in and that power of prayer, and we're able to kind of talk some things out and have a more expansive language to what we're dealing with. Sometimes we might find ourselves a part of different organizations or even in relationships, and it's hard for us to go to that season of shedding because it's like, well, I come from a traumatic situation and I really have abandonment issues,
Right.
and so I'm holding on so tight. But when I can recognize that it's not necessarily that this is the relationship for me, but there's like, we got some entanglements going on, right? Then I can
Entanglement.
start seeing it for what it is and not feel so guilty when it's time to move away
Mm.
from certain things, or when it's time to put certain things down, because this is not the season for that. But that also comes with vulnerability and being resilient in our prayer so that we can see what is it that I'm dealing with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you're able to discern what's going on, um, then you know, and that also goes to understanding your self-worth. Because
Mm,
sometimes we stay in situations longer because we don't understand our worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the last episode of, like you said, having that prayer time, so that you're able to discern what this looks like. What is this? Is it a time to shed, or is it time for me to work through something that I'm going through?
and so with self-worth, I think that that goes directly into like us building our community, because
Hmm.
your tribe can see you for you
Hmm.
even when you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah,
So
Mm-hmm.
true
if you're
tribe.
going through your anxious periods or you are depressed, your friends still see you and they're still trying to say, come on, like they still know who you are, even though they recognize what you're going through. And then so that also helps us kind of come back to ourselves when we have a community that recognizes us. Sometimes it's our professor saying, I know you're going through some stuff, but I can look at your work and I know that that's not you.
Right.
That's not you. So that's also important in building community. So
And,
like when go ahead.
no, I'll just you go ahead and I'll come back to my thought.
So I was thinking about like, so if I'm looking to build a community on my campus, what are some things that campuses might have to offer in this whole building a community?
One of the things that I just think about I'm just gonna talk about my campus.
Okay.
Very clear about community engagement. And it starts, and I'm gonna start in my location. I'm very intentional, especially within the campus ministry, of creating small groups so that people can get to know one another. And if you sit down and look at Jesus, Jesus was always connecting with people, but he only rocked with 12. And then even with the 12, he went down to 3. And then it got to the place where he was with himself. So again, we have to be clear about who you're rocking with. But that requires you to connect with people in ways that you would not have been able to do otherwise. Don't again, you're gonna hear me repeat this over and over and again. Never ever negate somebody that crosses your path. You don't know how God would use that individual in order to take you to the next level, or you take them to the next level. We are all interconnected in some form or fashion. And so when you're talking about connecting with resources, think about your mentors, think about your teachers that can be a mentor. Remember, I said, I thank God for my dad teaching me the importance of never negating nobody. It doesn't matter if it's the janitor or the
Right.
cook, the teacher or the president. At the end of the day, they all bring something that enhances you and your community. And you're part of their community. So make sure you know those persons because that's key to your success in more ways than you could ever imagine. So again, when we talk about that whole piece around not negating anyone, because again, the legacy of resilience and unity comes in who you connect with, because they're going to cheer you on at the end of the day. They're going to support you because they know you. They see what your potential is. And I can, oh God, y'all got to take this out because I can hear myself going back to my dad. And my dad always saying to us, you're gonna repeat these words later on in life. People know you better than you know yourself. And so again, that's community because they take time to connect with you in ways that you would never imagine. Even when you're trifling, they know it. They know it when you're doing, they know it. So they're paying attention to you in more ways than not. And guess what? Your haters are studying you in ways that you would never imagine. So I celebrate because guess what? They're my elevators. So we just gonna keep moving. So I'm a hush because that's a near.
That's good. That's good. So, and while we're talking about building community, what are some actionable steps that students can take to help them build community in whatever campus they're on?
So
Don't
I'm always be a big component of service. There are ways that you can volunteer, and then not only are you doing good works, but it just uplifts your spirit when you are actually getting out and making a difference. So find different ways to volunteer. I'm pretty sure that there are elementary schools. Sometimes you can go read to an elementary school, but there are many different ways to volunteer on your campus and within your community because they need people to show up. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. People need volunteers. So get out there and serve.
That's
and
right.
don't be afraid to start a study group. I mean, you'll be amazed at what you learn. And note now, it's just not one-sided study. It's about you studying your community. Thinking about your circle, your tribe, as Dr. Kevin has lifted up. There are people in your community that have resources that can help take you to the next level. And it's not just about the monetary, but it's about the relational collateral that you get. Because COVID has done a number on us mentally and caused many of us to become more isolated than need be.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
you're not willing to step beyond what's familiar, you're going to stay stuck. And that's not what God intends. And God said, I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly. You're now responsible for executing this. God has already told you what the promise is. But if you're not willing to go and pick up the plate to eat the food, I can't force it down your mouth. You have to do it for yourself in this season. Attend campus events. Stop isolating yourself. You'll be amazed at the education that you would get. There's so many opportunities for you to advance yourself. Put yourself out there. Be vulnerable. Be transparent. And so you may not know it. You would never have done this before, but go and do it. Get your passport. Go get your passport and be open for something beyond the immediate right now.
That is so true.
That's another connection. Because how many of you actually have your passport? And if I say to you, I've already paid for you to go to South Africa or Zimbabwe or to Benin, Can you go right now and get your passport? Baby, be ready for access at all times, because your community is going to take you places beyond what you can see in the immediate.
So true. And utilize campus resources. I know
Yes.
at Tuskegee University, there's a program called Lead Us. Opportunities for you to grow and expand in leadership skills, and you're building community while you're there. You meet people that are outside of your study area. So, you know, somebody may be majoring in engineering, somebody is in education, is across campus. But when you guys come together, you may click in some way. So being open to engaging with campus resources, going to chapel community right there, you know, because there's some students that don't go, don't know what's out there. So find out what's going on your campus and engage there.
And then like engaging the student organizations, that doesn't just mean sign up and be a member. It doesn't mean just try to hold a position, but actually engage. Like you're going to do some work. When you engage with these student organizations, you are building those networks that can last a lifetime or open up doors several years down the line. And you're like, oh yeah, I was just doing quiz bowl with this person, and your paths cross again later on in life. So engage with those student organizations. Like, yeah, this is the time to not only grow as an individual, but you're growing as a professional, and you're getting the experience right there on your campus. So engage.
That's good.
But that also ties back to your resume builder. If you're engaging with your community in that capacity, Reverend Kev, guess what? There are things that that transferable skills that can get you your next job until you find your full career, because those are things that you're negating. That's where it comes back to community and getting engaged, because it's so many layers, and it also helps your mental. Come on now, when you can see your skills being applied, it reinforces you. It gives you a different view of yourself. It gives you a higher self-esteem, because for sometimes we beat ourselves up because we're looking at our inadequacies versus looking at what we are capable of doing and what we're doing. If that make any sense.
Makes great sense. Great
Uh,
sense.
I think that brings it back to like the spirituality that we find in our community and the well-being that we have. Like when the scriptures tell us three strands are not easily broken. Like when we come together. So when we look at the power of community, like, so we talked about power and vulnerability, power of prayer, but are there superpowers in building a community? There's 5 things that we can get from just honing that skill. One is support and belonging. Sometimes we just need a little help or support. And yo, in this time, where do I belong? Your community provides belonging. Collaboration. Collaboration is the new currency. Right after code, it's the new currency. So collaboration, you get that when you are building your community. Shared resources and assistance. I might not have it in my budget, but I know somebody who knows somebody who has some skills, and we can share our resources and assist one another. Diversity and inclusion. My perspective is not the only one. My experience is not the only one. And we get a broader perspective when we build our community, and it doesn't just look or come from the places that we come from. And then social empowerment, social change and empowerment. When you come together, there is strength in numbers, and you can make a change. Moses didn't just free people by himself. Jesus didn't just do ministry by himself.
Right.
And so there is this social change that can take place when we hone the skill of building our community, which empowers us on a personal level, a professional level, and a spiritual level, because we are not in this alone.
That's good.
That is powerful. As my mentor would say, who would do this with me? That's what you need to ask yourself in the season. Who would do this with me? Because every no is just one step closer to your yes. Every failure is one step closer to your success. So it's about who's going to help you do that. Because even your no's getting you closer to what you need. So, community.
That's right. So, as we conclude our series of Gracefully Broken, I thank you for joining us for this 5-part series. Remember that the journey through Lent and the challenges as a student life are pathways to greater strength, deeper faith, and enduring connections. So, embrace the opportunity to build and to be a part of the community of support. For it is together that we what? Truly rise. Thank you for joining us. There's 5 episodes. If you've missed an episode, take it back to our YouTube page because this has been amazing and I hope that it fuels your soul and feeds your spirit. Thank you, Rev Kev. Thank you, Reverend Brisbane. Tell the people how they can connect with you.
So I'm Rev Kev, Director and Strategist for the National Network of Young Adults. You can find me on Instagram at NNYA Lit, or you can simply go to sbc21.org. And if you need to email me, you can email me at kkosh@sbc21.org.
And I am Reverend Herbert, Brisbon University Chaplain here at Dillard University. Also, as they say, the home of the Lawless experience here at Lawless Memorial Chapel. You can reach me on Instagram at HAB3_Brisbane or on Twitter at the Lawless Chaplain. My email is hbrisbane@dillard.edu. So I look forward to connecting with you and prayerfully that you will remain gracefully broken and allow these seasons to not only start here, but begin to realize that there's something greater inside of you. I yield.
Thank you. Be blessed all.